Lastly, but certainly not least, we have Traciana Graves. She's a diversity and inclusion strategist and a nationally recognized speaker. She's also an internationally acclaimed vocalist. We'll probably have her sing something then. A keynote speaker, an organizational strategist, a media entrepreneur, and she founded the Visionary Leader Network. My goodness, Traciana, how do you have time to sleep?
I don't.
So tell us about the Visionary Leader Network.
I'm just so pleased because it took us 2 years to develop a platform that could be interactive and really provide not only insights for leadership and corporate and business strategies, but really helping leaders to be more authentic, to be more engaged, and to create teams and lifestyles where people give their best. And so this has been really 2 years of a journey that started off with a very small camcorder and then morphed into, major technology with the TV studio we produce content out of, capturing some of the best fears and formulas for success and overcoming those fears with some of today's leading leaders and visionaries.
And vocalists, you sing.
On top of it, right? And so people ask me, they're like, in fact, I did a radio show recently, and they were playing one of my records, and they're like, you haven't put out a CD in a while, and to me, the Visionary Leader Network is the extension of song. It's really the community that comes together when, I've done concerts and have had good fortune to sing around the world with great artists like Celine Dion and all my own stuff. And, in concert, in any place any stadium I've been around the world, you bring people together in song, and all of a sudden they forget backgrounds, languages, and there's just this perfection of vision. And so I used to always stay in the question of what happens when the music stops. And to me, being able to capture people's stories and then to provide them with tools to continue that in the places that they work is just like it's a dream come true.
Wow. Yeah, music does transcend a lot of cultural barriers, of course. But in the end, we do need some narrative to connect to each other.
Yes, and then some strategies. How do you then, when you're trying to, especially in today's workforce, we're seeing onslaughts of people who are quite bright making statements, even just recently about how women aren't genetically equipped as other counterparts.
We covered that at the beginning of our show.
These are leaders, right? So there's a disconnect, right, between, perhaps these people have mothers, daughters, sisters, wives, friends.
They all have mothers. Perhaps
they've also studied that anytime you start looking at people's genetic makeup as a precursor to...
Slippery slope.
It's never worked out quite well in the past. And so there's this disconnect. I don't believe people wake up and decide that they're just going to not bring out the best in themselves and each other. And yet, we're so disconnected from who we can be, who we want to be, and then the inherent biases we have about ourselves, which is actually the issue that we then impose on someone else. Yeah.
Interesting. There's a lot of connection between this segment and last segment.
Oh my gosh.
In the last segment, we were talking about fear, talking about being self-obsessed.
Yeah.
How do we get past that? Because being a leader is about getting past a lot of that.
So, obviously, part of what I did when I was, singing, I would on the side have my side hustle of studying organizational development. I spent really 17 years perfecting this other skill set about training and executive coaching and all these other things. And so, but really, the thing that we've noticed, whether it's my expertise of training or the 70 leaders that I've sat down with and interviewed, you really have to come back to self. And a lot of leaders talk about fearlessness and how do you marry fearlessness within the fear? How do you also marry authenticity? And a lot of times people have so numbed and dumbed down themselves that they're pretending like, I'm just a white guy. I get to be, and it's like, no, you're not. Who else are you behind 3 other layers, right? And it's really about, like I say, it's the new era of who we all get to truly be if we're talking about authenticity.
It's hard to sometimes get beyond the outer layer because that's what we see first.
Right, and yet there's really so much more. And what's amazing with this, what I like to always say, that leaders today, whether they're small businesses or big businesses, and if they want to be sustainable, right, they have to reinvent what has worked before. We could say it didn't matter, but even major companies that in the past have said, this is who we are, we only serve this type of clientele, those companies are going out of business, or they're quickly having to say, oh my gosh, if we want to feed our families, we're going to have to do better business.
You have to adapt.
Yeah.
I think we all have to adapt. And speaking of adaptation, you adapted your old career into a new career. So that seems to be very common these days.
You know, but again, so at first, what's been, I think, so for me, my reset was I really for a very long time kept the two things separate, right? So people in my academic career, being a Georgetown alumni, being an academic, I would never.
Georgetown alumni. It's like Harvard alums. They tell you the first 5 minutes that you're from.
How long have I been on here? Right? My point is,
just giving you a
I
hard
would
time
never
here.
bring that up
You went
because
5.5.
that's why I was breaking out in a sweat. but I would never mention that I did the arts because then it was like, well, you can't possibly be academic and really can't.
You can't be good at those two things, Traciana.
Yes, and especially you're a female and you're a female of color. So if you're a singer, then you really can't be someone who's having the ear of a CEO.
So you stop living multiple worlds and combine them all together.
Because that's who we all have to be. We have to really say that we can explore aspects of our true selves. And what I like to also say is that, to me, diversity and inclusion are two very different things. And multiculturalism is very different from diversity. And if you think about all the cultures that we all come back to, especially being in the States, none of us, other than our Native American, compatriots, are from this country originally, right?
No, we're all transplants.
We're all transplants. And so who was your great-grandmother? What are traditions that you secretly do at home that don't ever make it into the workforce?
Oh, we got lots of those in my family. So, would you sing for us? We have 30 seconds left.
Oh my gosh!
I got to put you on the spot.
I didn't even know.
Anything, I don't care.
Oh my! I don't even know what to say. I mean,
anything.
Oh my goodness.
Do it, do re mi.
Do re mi fa sol. Here we are on board TV.
Bravissimo. That closes us out, Traciana.
Oh my God.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Such a blast.
Absolutely. And thank you, viewer, for joining us again. We'll be back next week at 9 a.m. on Tuesday. And in the meantime, you can catch Carrie. And I think John Levine will be on instead of Clay this week. No. Someone else, evidently. Anyway, on Friday at 10 a.m. here on Bold TV. Don't miss it. Thanks.